Why did TLC hold Arista hostage?
The record
company, Clive Davis, we held them hostage like guns, the whole shebang.
Clive is like, girls, what's going on?
TLC had generated on Crazy $75 million and they gave us $50,000 a piece. I was like, what the hell?
Yes, TLC's got a meeting with Clive and you got to go. Your meeting's over.
Like, we need to go get our money. I need to know where my MF money's at.
One of the girls acting as security outside of that door, and we said, don't let anybody in or out unless we say so.
They made millions for the music industry and got paid less than a used car. So they did what no one dared. Stormed the label, kicked out Diddy, and held Clive Davis hostage. This isn't just a story about TLC. It's a warning the industry never forgot. They didn't just ask for their money. They took it back by force. Most artists grumble quietly when they're shortchanged. Not TLC. They declared war. After learning their Crazy School album had generated a staggering $75 million, only to be handed $50,000 checks each, TLC didn't call a lawyer. They loaded up a limo and pulled up to Arista Records with one mission: get what they were owed, or make the label pay in another way. Lisa Left Eye Lopes led the charge, backed by T-Balls and Chilli, and a crew of no-nonsense women she had met while in a diversion center. These weren't your average assistants. These were ex-cons, big, loud, and ready to ride. They kicked Diddy out of his meeting with Clive Davis, stormed the building, and stripped Arista's walls of every plaque and poster with TLC's name on it. They even had one of their crew stand guard outside Clive's office, refusing to let anyone in or out. It wasn't just a protest, it was a hostile takeover. Clive sat stunned. Puffy snitched. Security was overwhelmed. But TLC had already sent their message. They weren't some girl group to be played with. They were soldiers in combat for justice. This was the day the industry realized TLC didn't bluff. If you're hooked already, make sure to subscribe for more untold stories like this. Trust me, it only gets wilder from here. Diddy got kicked out and then he snitched. Imagine being Diddy in a high-powered meeting with Clive Davis, only to be told your session was over because TLC just walked in and shut it down. That's exactly what happened. As soon as TLC arrived at Arista Records, they weren't waiting to be scheduled in. They barged in with backup, demanded Diddy leave, and made it crystal clear that their business came first. Tiani's cousin walked right up to the sound system, stopped the tape, and told Diddy, TLC's got a meeting with Clive. You're done. Embarrassed and caught off guard, Diddy didn't take the slight quietly. He called for help. Yo, B, your girl's up here mad bugging, he warned, trying to paint TLC as erratic. But they weren't bugging. They were bold, calculated, and done being exploited. Instead of standing in solidarity, Diddy chose to snitch, a move that would create tension between him and the group for years to come. That moment wasn't just about ego. It was about power being shifted right before his eyes. For Diddy, it was a loss of control. For TLC, it was the beginning of rewriting their fate. No middlemen, no games, just direct action. Left Eye didn't call lawyers. She assembled a crew of ex-cons. When TLC found out they were being robbed blind, Lisa Left Eye Lopes didn't book a legal team. She called her girls from lockup, fresh out of a diversion center. After setting her ex's house on fire, Lisa had connected with a new kind of squad. Tough, unapologetic women who didn't play. These were women who'd done time, weren't afraid of going back, and knew how to handle pressure. So when Lisa said, we're going to New York, it wasn't a joke, it was a full-on mission. She phoned T-Balls and Chilli, and the plan was in motion. Confront Clive Davis face-to-face, strip Arista of anything with their name, and demand answers. This wasn't a PR stunt, it was a bold, borderline criminal move that no other girl group had dared. Lisa wasn't trying to stir drama. She was out to reclaim power, respect, and every missing dollar. Clive Davis faced the storm and folded. When TLC stormed into Arista Records, Clive Davis wasn't ready. The industry titan, known for controlling rooms and commanding respect, sat frozen as three young women tore down everything that symbolized their exploitation. Plaques with their names ripped off the walls. Awards and posters hauled into a waiting limo. And outside his office door, one of TLC's crew stood guard, refusing to let anyone enter or exit without their permission. Clive tried to stay calm, asking, girls, what's going on?" But the message was clear. TLC wasn't asking anymore. They were demanding. They laid it all out. The millions they'd made, the crumbs they'd received, and how L.A. Reid was deflecting blame. When the police showed up, Clive had a choice: press charges and risk the media frenzy, or handle it quietly. He chose silence. No arrests, no resistance, just fear and renegotiations. That day, Clive learned TLC didn't need permission to take what was already theirs. Chilli's laugh at Diddy wasn't just a joke, it was a warning. Years after the Arista standoff, Chilli's silence spoke volumes, until one moment on live TV broke it all open. During an appearance on The Rosie O'Donnell Show, Rosie cracked a joke. Lauryn Hill's got 4 Grammy nominations, TLC's got 8, and Sean Combs, 5 to 10. The room chuckled, but Chilli burst out laughing harder than anyone, her face lit with something more than amusement. It wasn't just funny, it was personal. That reaction hinted at a deeper tension, especially once people remembered her past relationship with Usher, who had lived with Diddy at just 14, under what he called Puffy's flavor camp. Usher later admitted he'd seen some things, vague but chilling. For Chilli, that joke might have been a subtle release, a warning shot in disguise. She never spoke publicly about what she knew, but that laugh, it told us she'd seen enough to keep her distance for life. Usher's time with Diddy raised alarming questions, and Chilli was closer to it than anyone. When Usher was just 14, LaFace Records sent him to live with Diddy in New York, a move that would haunt his legacy for years. He called it Puffy's flavor camp, and in later interviews, Usher hinted at witnessing things no teenager should ever see. It was wild. I don't even know if I understood what I was looking at. That eerie vagueness only fueled rumors about parties, power plays, and deeply troubling incidents behind the scenes. But the real twist came when Chilli, TLC's heartthrob, started dating Usher. Suddenly she had front row access to everything he had seen and possibly suffered during those early Diddy years. Their romance wasn't just celebrity gossip. It was a direct link to one of the most powerful and allegedly dangerous men in music. When their relationship abruptly ended, Chilli never looked back and never spoke publicly about Diddy again. Whatever she learned through Usher, it was enough to scare her into silence and out of Diddy's orbit for good. Left Eye didn't just want money, she wanted the truth. For Left Eye, it was never just about the paycheck. It was about uncovering the system that broke them. After the confrontation at Arista, most artists would have backed off, not Lisa Lope. While the group started seeing more money, Lisa wasn't satisfied. She needed to know how they got swindled so badly in the first place. Where did the $75 million go? Who signed off on those contracts? Who kept them broke while the world thought they were rich? Left Eye began asking dangerous questions and then made an even more dangerous move. She signed with Death Row Records, the most notorious label in music. The industry was stunned. TLC's most outspoken member had just aligned with Suge Knight, and many believed she was preparing to expose everything from money trails to shady deals. Lisa didn't want a raise. She wanted accountability, and she wasn't afraid to go to war for it. After TLC's raid, Arista Records went on lockdown. What TLC did that day at Arista wasn't just unforgettable. It changed the way the music industry operated. After they stormed the building, ripped plaques off walls, and held Clive Davis in a face-to-face showdown, the label tightened security like never before. Suddenly, even artists had to sign in, go through metal detectors, and get patted down, all because 3 women from Atlanta made it clear they weren't afraid to confront power directly. It wasn't a lawsuit, it wasn't a press campaign. It was raw, unfiltered accountability in real time, and everyone from interns to executives knew TLC meant business. Behind closed doors, Arista scrambled to renegotiate deals, calm the media, and most importantly, avoid another confrontation. No one ever tried TLC like that again. The group didn't just shift a contract, they shifted the culture. From that point on, the industry understood TLC doesn't wait for justice. They show up and take it. Chilli chose silence because what she knew could have burned it all down. After the chaos, the lawsuits, and Left Eye's tragic death, Chilli stayed quiet, but not clueless. Unlike Lisa, who confronted executives and chased truth head-on, Chilli backed away from the spotlight just enough to stay safe. She didn't go on talk shows to expose anyone. She didn't speak out about Diddy. She simply kept her distance, especially from the powerful men who once surrounded her world. And it wasn't cowardice, it was survival. Chilli had seen too much. The dirty contracts, the broken promises, the dark stories whispered in industry circles. She had dated Usher, she had been inside the machine, and she knew that speaking the wrong truth could cost more than a career. So instead, she kept her grace, stayed performing, and outlived the storm. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was a quiet shield, because in an industry where truth can be deadly, sometimes disappearing is the only way to stay standing. TLC didn't just make hits, they made history by fighting back. Most artists from their era played the game. TLC broke it. They didn't smile through exploitation or settle for crumbs while executives got rich. When they realized they were being robbed, they didn't cry. They confronted giants like Clive Davis and Diddy face to face. No lawyers, no middlemen, just 3 black women demanding respect, money, and truth in a system designed to silence them. And they did it all without losing their careers or their voices. Even after Left Eye's death and the industry's cold shoulder, TLC remained one of the few groups who walked away with both dignity and legacy intact. They weren't just entertainers, they were disruptors, survivors, and truth tellers in a business built on secrecy. After that fateful day at Arista Records, one thing became clear. TLC didn't bluff, and they never backed down. They rewrote the rules, and the music industry was never the same again. TLC's story isn't just about music. It's about resistance, courage, and refusing to be silenced. They stood up to some of the most powerful figures in the industry and made it clear they weren't just voices behind a mic. They were warriors for truth. In a world where many artists fold under pressure, TLC stood tall, fought back, and changed the game forever. If this story opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell because we're just getting started. More real and untold stories are on the way. Don't miss them.